Well, more action from the ALA Property Mark 2018 conference here in London, and I'm delighted to be joined by Miles Shipside from Rightmove. Lovely to catch up with you as always, Miles, and we're on your fantastic stand, which I have to say I absolutely love. But how important is it for the industry to all gather together like today's event?
Really important, and obviously I go to estate agency conferences as well as lettings orientated conferences. I have to say the thirst for knowledge, searching for new ways of doing things, been really impressed with the quality of the delegates and their desire to improve, which they've obviously got to do with the changing face of legislation that's coming their way.
Indeed, and in some ways they're kind of preaching to the converted here, because the ALA agents are the ones that have voluntarily committed to professional standards, and of course a lot of the sentiment in the media, the sort of anti-sentiment is of course about the rogues, and they are of course in the minority.
Indeed, so it's the whole industry that has to get their act together, not just the people that have got their act together already. So important for everybody that standards are raised, and obviously with the legislation, if there's the right teeth to it and the follow-up, then standards will be raised across the industry.
Indeed. Now, how are things at Rightmove? Because I understand that you've had one of your busy ever months for traffic.
Yes, March, 142 million visits, a record month. So people are obviously fascinated by property, but need for housing both in the rented and purchase sector. And I think as rents are going up and as property prices are going up, people are searching harder, not for the bargains, but for a property that really suits their needs. So it obviously costs a lot of money to buy a house, costs a lot of money to move, so people want to search thoroughly for their next home, whether that be to rent or to purchase. And obviously Rightmove is the biggest property portal with 90+% of property advertised for sale, is a great place for people to look.
Indeed. Well, landlords love Rightmove as well. I personally use it as a wonderful due diligence tool because I do my sales comparables and my rental comparables, and really it's data out there that everybody can tap into, isn't it?
Absolutely. So lots of data for consumers doing their research. Also some great data for estate agents, lettings agents. You know, what's not only in competition against their properties, but data about other agents and relative performance of your agency to others as well. So lots of valuable information there.
Now, what's your kind of view on the attacks on landlords by government? Obviously increasing regulation and legislation, also this very onerous tax, Section 24, big topics for us at Property Tribes. How aware are you of the pain that landlords are feeling right now?
Trying to get me to be controversial, aren't you? And that's an interesting one, because obviously a lot of our customers, so to speak, are consumers. A lot of them are tenants, so being fair to tenants, absolutely right as well, but also obviously tenant supply of housing comes through landlords wanting to invest and provide that housing. So I can really understand the concern of landlords. It's getting harder for them. They've been tempted, if you like, to come into the market. There is very little social housing being provided, so it is reliant on the private rental sector, yet the previous encouragement they've had now seems to be one-way traffic the other way. So tough. We are anecdotally hearing of landlords selling up, particularly highly geared landlords. The legislation is tough for lettings agents as well. On the positive side, I have spoken to lettings agents that feel that because they're doing a great job and some other lettings agents aren't, then there is a business opportunity for them to grow their portfolio and to really get across to landlords the expertise that they've got, and worth paying a good letting agent good money for looking after all this legislation and maximising the return on the investment for that landlord as well.
I think that's a very good point you've made, because a lot of landlords, they're very, very price sensitive. We know that, and they would perhaps go for an agent that's offering 9% commission instead of 10% commission. But one thing that I feel as a landlord myself, that they don't factor in is their own time. And you know, if you've got a substandard agent, you're likely to have a lot more problems coming back to you. It's absolutely key, I think, that landlords work with you know, reputable agents such as that are at Arla here today.
Indeed, and the legislation is part of it, but it's about maximising the return on your investment as well. And a good letting agent got to be obviously price sensitive so that a tenant doesn't leave. But I've talked to lettings agents today, starting to bring in inflation-linked increases to rents going through all the portfolio. One letting agent said they did that a year ago. They've just done it again for a second time, and a 2 or 3% increase on the rent. It's not going to upset the tenant, one would hope, and it's getting the landlord a greater return. And obviously, from a lettings agent's point of view, it's slowly but surely increasing their commission as well.
Now, Rightmove really is the dominant portal now, way out in front. Why do you think that is?
Lots of reasons. We started the hard work back in 2000, 2001 when I joined the company. Getting the basics right. It's a bit like lettings agencies. Getting the basics right, accuracy of information, simple name Rightmove. There's various other names out there, but they're less simple to remember. But then really working with lettings agents and estate agents to give them lots of advice. When we first set out, a lot of people weren't very educated about the internet and how to use it to its full potential. And we said, oh, what a massive job have we got to do that? And we decided it was the right thing for us to do. And a large amount of our costs is the account managers out there on the road, telephone account managers as well, really helping agents to get the best out of Rightmove and the maximum value out of it, so that they can actually run their businesses more efficiently and please their clients, which are landlords as well, and tenants.
Indeed, and you also produce content for landlords as well. I mean, I tap into your blog and other bits and pieces. There's quite a few resources on the site that can use. So I think from my perspective, I think it's because you've got such a fantastic user interface and you can get so much from it. So ultimately that would probably be the winning thing in the end, wouldn't it? That people actually enjoy using it and can get straight to what they're after.
Absolutely. Keep it simple, but lots of information so that people want to come back. They know the information's valuable and useful to them, whether it be in their research and partly enjoyment, as you say.
Yeah.
If somebody enjoys looking at property and using the website, then they'll come back and tell their friends as well.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for joining me here at the Arla Property Mark Conference. Always great to have your contribution to Property Tribes TV. Thank you, Miles.